Hey, fourth graders. So today we're going to keep going with that area model, except we're going to look at 4-digit numbers divided by a single-digit number with remainders and without remainders. So we're going to start with this one. This one will not have a remainder. So my problem is 8,552 divided by 2. I already set up our area model in the box, but just quick review. We look at what's in the thousands place and we write it inside. In the hundreds, write it inside. The tens, write it inside. And then the ones, and then write it inside. And remember, we are trying to figure out what numbers will go on top. So we're looking for this other factor. And remember, in area model of multiplication, you have numbers here and you have numbers here, and you have to find out what's inside. Well, we already know what's inside, so we have to find out what gets us this number. So we can use the little zero trick. We have 3 zeros in this equation, so we're going to put them up top. So we can just focus on this one right here. It's going to be a number, something thousand, right? And then I can think, what times 2 is going to get me to this first digit? Because I slid my numbers up so I won't forget about them. 2 times 1, that's 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. 2 times 3, that's 6. 2 times 4 is 8. So that means 2 times 4,000 is going to give us 8,000. So that way we have to check now our work. 4,000 times 2 will be 8,000. So we write it underneath and we subtract. We will have nothing left over, which means we're done in this box and we can move over here. And then we can do the same thing with our zeros if we'd like. We can move our zeros right up top, so we just focus on this first number. We know it's going to be 2 times something with 2 zeros after it. So then I think again to myself, 2 times 1, that's 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. Okay, we're close. 2 times 3, that's 6. That's too much, so I have to go back to 2 times 2, which is 4. So I'm going to put my 2 up here, which now makes this 200. 200 times 2 will be 400, which I write right underneath there. And again, I subtract. 500 minus 400, we know, is 100. Well, I have something left over, but I'm not done yet. I have to move it to the next box. So I'm going to move it over here, and remember, you add it up. So then I'm just going to put a 1 right there. It was a tiny little shortcut. So now we've moved 100 over here. So instead of 50, we now have 150. Okay, and again, I can pick my 0 right up there, and I think to myself, okay, what times 2 is going to get me to 15 or as close to it as possible? So I can go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 16 is too much, so we have to go down back to 2 times 7, which is 14. I'm going to write the 7 right here. 70 times 2 is going to be 140. And again, I'm going to subtract to see what I have left. And I have 10 left. So again, just like I did over here, I have to move what I have left over here. I'm going to add it. So 2 plus 10 is going to give me 12. Now, what times 2 will get me 12 or close to 12? Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, 6. 2 times 6 is 12. And just to check, 6 times 2, 12. We've got nothing left over. So now we're taking our numbers that we found on top and we're going to add them together. Nice and straight. I'm going to line them up. 4,000 plus 200 plus 70 plus 6. And I'm going to add that up. So 6, 7, 2, 4. So our answer is 4,276. But I might want to check. I can check using multiplication. And when you check using multiplication, you're working backwards. You're taking your quotient, which is the answer to a division problem, and you're going to multiply it by the divisor. So 4,276 times 2. And I'm going to do that right here on the side. And I'm going to use partial product, so I don't have to create a whole new box. But if you prefer area model, like I said in a previous video, you are more than welcome to use that to check your work. So I'm going to take 4,276, and I'm going to multiply that by 2. And remember, we start in the ones place. 6 times 2, that is 12. Then 2 times 70, because the 70 is in the tens place. That is 140. Then 2 times 200. And you see my 2 zeros, I'm going to move them over, and I'm looking at 2 times 2, which is 4. So 2 times 200 is 400. And then the last is 2 times 4,000. And again, 1, 2, 3 zeros and a comma, and then 2 times 4 is 8. So 2 times 4,000 is 8,000. 2, 5, 5, 8. And if you'll notice, my numbers here are matching the ones that are in the box. So there is a 4-digit divided by 1-digit area model of division with no remainder. Now we talked about the other day what a remainder is, and a remainder is a leftover from a math problem. So I'm going to erase this really quick, and I'm going to give you an example of an area model division problem that has a remainder. So we're going to use 3,461, and I'm going to do divided by 4. That's one I just came up in my brain right now. So I'm going to draw my box. And remember, I have to split these numbers up. So inside is going to go 3,000 because that is what's in the thousands place. 400 because that's in the hundreds, 60, and 1. And then I'm going to split my boxes up like this. And then on the side goes my divisor, which is 4. And so again, we're trying to figure out what is going to go on top. So what times 4 is going to give us what's already inside of the box? So now we're going to take a look. What we can do is what times 4 is going to give us 3,000 or as close to it as possible. So my gut might say, okay, I'm going to try 1,000, but 4 times 1,000 is going to give us 4,000, and that's bigger. So that is a big clue to me that I'm going to find something that is not times 1,000, it's going to be times something hundreds. So instead of taking all 3 and moving them up, I'm just going to move 2 up. So now I have a 2-digit number I can look at, which is 30. And I think, what times 4 is going to get me 30 or as close to 30 as possible? And I think, okay, I do my math facts in my head, and I think, oh, 4 times 7, that's 28. If I go to 4 times 8, that's 32, so that's too big. So 4 times 700 is going to be the biggest that I can get. So what I'll do is now I have to check, okay, 4 times 700, that is going to be 2,800. And then I have to subtract, just like we did in the other problem. 0, 0, I can borrow, and 10 minus 8 is 2. So we have 200 left over. And I'm going to move that right there. And I have to add it. Remember, when we move it over, we are adding it so we can have a new number to work with. That leaves me with 600. And I can bring my 2 zeros up to the top. And I think to myself, okay, 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 is too big, so it's going to be 1. So it'll be 4 times 100 because I moved my zeros up. So it's a little trick to make it easier. And then I check it. 4 times 100, that's 400. And there we go. And then I have left 200, which again, I'm going to bring over here and it'll just become 260. So here I will bring up my 0, and now I'm just focusing on 26. And the closest that I can get when I multiply something times 4 to 26 is 4 times 6, which is 24, which means if I'm putting a 4 next to my 0 that I moved up, 4 times 60, 4 times 60 is going to give me 240, which I'm going to subtract because that is the product of 60 times 4. And I have a leftover of 20. Can't have a leftover if it's not in the last box, so I move it over and I add 20 to 1, which gives me 21. Now the closest that I can get to 21 is 20. And how do I get 20? 4 times 5. So 4 times 5 is 20, gets written under there. And now I have this left over. I cannot multiply anything times 4 to get 1. So 1 is my remainder. And then to find my quotient, what do? I have to take what I wrote on top and I add them up together. 700 plus 100 plus 60 plus 5. Here we go, 5 all the way down, 6, and then 8. Okay, you've got 865. And we want to take that and we want to check it. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use my black marker, and I'm going to do and it will be remainder 1. Excuse me. We have to make sure we don't forget that R1. And now I'm going to check it by doing 865 times 4. And again, I'm going to use the partial product because that's just my preference when doing multiplication. So we've got, again, 4 times 5, 20, 4 times 60, which is 240, and then 4 times 800, which is 2 zeros, and then 32. Here we go, 0, 6, 4, 3,460. Wait, that doesn't match this original number. What did I forget to do? Oh, I forgot to take my remainder and add it down here. So now I have 3,461 because I added my remainder 1 and it all checks out. 3,461 divided by 4 is 865 remainder 1. And normally the stuff in the middle will match up, but it doesn't match up only because we added the 700 and the 100, and that gave us 800. Now, you're going to work with your teacher and solve some of these problems yourself. Good luck, 4th grade.